Hey, quick update because it's been a while. I'm not even going to put on my full filming lights because I figure it'd be probably a pretty short update. Two things I want to share. One is a quick shout out to why you should join GameDevTraining.com, the free email series, if you haven't yet. But secondarily, it's going to be a point related to that about this little snag I ran into and how I worked my way through it. I think it might apply to situations you find yourself in. So, general tip following that. But first off, the plug for GameDevTraining.com. If you have not yet joined that weekly email series, it's a solid amount of content, right? And I didn't quite know what I was getting to when I started, but it's been, I think, 45 some odd weeks consecutive of writing these just nuggets of information from different questions I've come up with training clients that I've had for game development, of things I discuss in office hours with members, obviously anonymizing details, general patterns of best material over the years we found have helped people. And again, not at a technical level of where to put the semicolon, as I like to say, but instead from an issue of picking their pathway, from sizing up how to schedule a long-term project in a way that comes out on time, to be able to manage their motivation and energy, to be able to navigate team circumstance better, all kinds of stuff that's common to what I train people in, literally giving that information away. And there's so much content in this weekly series. I say a series because when you join a list, it's not one of these things where you're on an email list and I just send out an email once a week and everyone gets the same email. It's a sequence. And that's important to me because it means I'm able to build on, like I mentioned last week, or like I mentioned a month ago, or to connect and build on points. And so when you sign up for GameDevTraining.com for the free weekly email series, completely free, includes literally even some of our paid material is given away as links through it after it's been explained why and how it's going to be useful in a certain way. It's basically giving you almost a book's worth of content. I think so far is about 200 pages of material, full size, normal size text, with only a few more of those to author before the entire, I think it'll be a 50 email sequence, is complete. Getting good responses, lots of people checking that out. I think we've sent about 24,000 emails so far, so it's been kind of fun. Now, the point I want to share is actually related to how I'm authoring that. So I'm coming down to my last several, and so it's even more important to get these topics right. And I just had all these different ideas. I was trying to prioritize lots of different topics I write about. And when it was earlier in the sequence, I knew there's lots of room to get an idea, use one, try it out, iterate, plenty of other time to have other ideas. Now that I'm running out of time on it, I've got to really kind of be more selective and choosy. And I wanted to be able to just kind of put those thoughts down and rearrange them. And I tried looking for different apps and programs and online sites and stuff in VR and stuff on tablet, stuff on smartphone, any kind of app I could find, because I was able to put down ideas and rearrange them. Not quite literally, I want something more spatial. And what I eventually realized was that what I really needed wasn't in virtual reality or on a tablet computer or on a smartphone. What I needed was some magnets, some note cards, and a marker. And I got my whiteboard on the other side of this camera. We're literally just setting up with a marker my columns for which weeks I was doing certain topics, jotting down some of my key ideas on different note cards to then arrange on there. And that's something that helped immensely, right? That sometimes we can look for a technical solution. Sometimes we can be drawn to, I'm sure there's some high-tech way to do this, and we can leverage the power of technology and cloud infrastructure and organizational hierarchies and all kinds of stuff. And sometimes what you need, right, is you just need something where the canvas is so small that you can't accidentally get lost in the details. You want something where it's easy to keep it in a level where you've got to write so big that you can just get a bird's eye view, sizing up, okay, do I want to switch this idea with that idea? How are these going to fit into the sequence? What am I discarding? What's not going into a slot? And sometimes these low-tech solutions, a magnetic whiteboard that I already had in my office, little pack of index cards, thick marker, and a box full of little magnets, all I needed to really help me sort out my thinking. And I want to suggest it, of course, for if you're trying to plan through your projects and things. Again, sometimes we go straight to the Trello. But remember, it's just like when we're doing level design, right? Often we don't necessarily want to start in the level editor. There's advantages to starting out, not even just in a visual 2D map mock-up in Illustrator or something, but even on paper, on a whiteboard, of just what are your beats, what are your main points, what's your general notion of this space? And it'll keep it in a more conceptual level. It keeps it a little plainer in a weird way, and I don't get too lost down the learning pathways kind of tangle thing, but it does feel like you're engaging with it differently when you're using your hands, when you're moving around your arms, when it's physically there, tangible with you. And then it's just kind of nice because literally when I've got another one I'm going to write today, so I literally just plucked my ones off of my column for my next one to write, pulled those aside, and I've got my notes right here with me. And meanwhile, it visually takes off the to-do board. It's easy. And again, I mentioned this not because you've never thought of using a whiteboard and whiteboard markers and magnets and such, which by the way, obviously got to be careful not write on the whiteboard with this one. So I have an orange marker I use to not mix them up. But just what a difference it makes to go low tech on this stuff to help you plan out what you're doing, separate from the act of executing on it. After which, by all means, dive in whatever tool gets you the details. I mean, I'm ultimately authoring these in a system that gives me better control over what I'm writing in a way that I couldn't fully author in these cards, but that's the benefit. I mean, just in contrast, so I know I mentioned Trello, but also I use Workflowy sometimes to organize my outlines for ideas, for talks I'm giving, for conference visits, for preparing for panels and stuff. And Workflowy, I mean, part of its power and what I enjoy about it is that it's got this infinite hierarchy system where you can bury as much detail as you want and subpoints under a thing, but sometimes it leads me to get lost down those rabbit trails in a way that with the cards, with the physical, I can't, and that's an advantage, right? It's kind of like one of the points I mentioned in my productivity audiobook is the benefit to selfcommand.com is the benefit of the fact that you can use a cheaper, worse piece of hardware, a $100 Chromebook, right? A Surface tablet. I don't know if it runs for 200 or what, plus or minus these days, maybe more. But so like it's something where it doesn't have the processing power, it doesn't have the RAM, it doesn't have the same capabilities as a full-on, certainly not a gaming rig or even a standard home desktop computer anymore. But that can be a benefit because it means you can't get too distracted by having a dozen tabs open, by trying to multitask too much at once, by having a show or something. The whole thing's going to crash. It can't handle it, right? As soon as you're opening more than a couple spreadsheets in parallel, it's already sweating, and you can tell it's at its limit. There's benefits to embracing things that are simpler when the ultimate objective and the priority is just what gets done, how we organize our thinking, and it could be beneficial to stop us from getting lost in the details or distracted when, I was thinking about standing at the whiteboard with these markers and index cards out and magnets, is it doesn't it's not a couple compulsive clicks away from becoming Twitter or my friends' Facebook feeds or something else. So that's the thought for the day. And again, if you haven't yet, I encourage, go sign up for GameDevTraining.com. I'll also say I've been iterating on that a lot. So part of what's nice about it being a sequence is that even after the initial draft went out there, so people who signed up early on, they see my, I want to say rough draft. Hopefully it's not too rough, but I do go back later and do editing passes. I fill out more detail. I recognize from feedback opportunities to introduce another point that helps support it or to clean up and rearrange some things. So what you're getting now is actually the latest version of the content. And so by doing it now, I mean, I literally just cleaned up several more last night. I think I'm down to, maybe 8 more to edit total out of the middle of the sequence or something. But you're getting the best version possible when you sign up at GameDevTraining.com of my, just like I say, free series of tips, advice over the years. We found helped game developers, trying to more people out, but we did that to celebrate some milestones we crossed for home team. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following along. See you next time, and keep making games.